What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Learning Culture Podcast. I am your host, Andrew Barry, and this is a special edition episode called Good to Great ICs. ICs stands for individual contributors. Now, why individual contributors? Because I think they are becoming an increasingly important role in companies of the future. There is increasing evidence every single day about how ICs are able to make more impact on their own thanks to AI, and how they are actually learning management skills to manage AI agents. In this edition of the podcast, we talk to leaders about what it really takes to grow as an individual contributor. So, whether you're an IC yourself looking for advice to grow your career, or you're responsible for developing ICs, this episode is for you. Let's get into it.
My name is Kia Beckford. I've been at Whatnot for nearly 4 years. I have done multiple jobs at this company, starting with director of people, and currently I am the people business partner for the what I would say revenue team, maybe for general purposes, and I've got marketing as well as communications with me as well.
You've got a lot on your plate, and you're back to your roots.
Yes, back to my
Yeah,
people business partner roots.
yeah. All right. Now let's go back to your IC roots.
Yeah.
And the early days of being an individual contributor at a company. What's an aha moment that you had during that time that really changed how you showed up at work?
Yeah, I think for me, it was figuring out how to prioritize my work well. It was, I think, coming out of school, being in an academic environment where it just always felt like, just do more, do more, do more. Um,
Mm,
and you didn't really have the opportunity to direct the work that you were doing, when it came to that academic experience. And so being able to be in a space where I could really think through what is the most important thing to work on. Where are we called, was probably the best thing that I learned early on is the big rocks. Like, what are your five big
yeah.
you're working on? That concept has always stuck with me. And I'm someone that wants to do all the things. And so always having those five rocks to come back to has been really, really, really helpful.
Mm,
So I would say prioritizing is probably like a huge superpower for any IC.
yeah, that's a good call out. And you don't have to do that at college. Like it gets given to you. And you just have to start figuring it out when you leave. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, so if you could go back to a younger Kia, early in your career, just starting out, what advice would you give her?
I would say to really take every experience as a learning opportunity. I remember in one of my very first roles, I see at Procter and Gamble, and huge, huge, huge company. Like we're talking over 200,000 people
Yeah.
globally. And one of the things that I really wanted to try to do was get into a people business partner role pretty quickly. And the first job they had me do was operations. And I was just pretty unhappy because I was behind a computer. I was working with numbers, doing analysis. I wasn't
Mm,
working with people directly. And that was a bit disheartening for me. And as I was learning more and like actually getting into my people business partner work maybe a year and a half later, all of the things that I had been focused on in the beginning were just coming up as like such important things for me. So
uh,
I would say it's sometimes like the more exciting work or the thing that seems really shiny on on one end is not always the right thing to go for immediately. And I think that it allowed me to be more successful, that I had that
mm.
time to really spend in the data and be more data driven as I continued my career.
Yeah, that's another good call out. It's like rounding out your skill set with things that you don't necessarily maybe find as interesting or passionate about, but broadens your skill set. Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Okay, and then so now in your role, and you've done people development, you've done people business partner. When you spot a high potential IC today, what's one of the first things you do to help them develop?
Oh my gosh. I love that experience of seeing a high potential IC that is also very self-aware and interested
Mm,
to learn like how can they do more, how can they progress, how can they even just like broaden their experiences. One thing that I think is really important that I don't think a lot of ICs really think through is the exposure. What I see a lot is getting very insular, like into the work that they're doing. And one of the most like the best ways that an NEIC can really show increased value to the organization, that's like really multiplying value, honestly, is by supporting your fellow employees. What I
Ah,
and it looks different, right? It could be like, great, I'm really, really good at XYZ. I'm going to create a playbook. So now anybody that joins this organization will have a really easy way to get to baseline and then can, explore from there.
mm,
Or it could look like sitting with, like, let's say it's a salesperson and they've got a team of SDRs. It's like, yeah, like send me leads, but also maybe I'll sit down and like, let's talk through actually
mm,
strategizing together and really creating an experience that is more about learning and helping others learn and grow. And that gets seen. Like, that's also like really great
yeah,
creating, documents, the AI tools as well. Like that's been a really cool thing to see when you look at like hackathons, um,
yeah.
wonderful things that can really support the rest of the business. So I would say just looking beyond your silo is such an important thing for development and for people who are hungry for it. Like those are such low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, I love that. It's sort of made me realize it took me a long time in my career to realize this, that even when you're on one of the lowest rungs on the ladder, as it were, there are always people that are behind you that are maybe new to the company or whatever. And so even starting to think that early on about building the bridge for them to kind of like the path that you followed, starting that early. Yeah, that's a really, really good call.
Yeah, it's incredibly helpful. It really stands out.
Stands
That
out.
for
Yeah.
just letting you know, I went through performance calibrations for all of our teams, and they're those sorts of pieces of work like really do stand out as being it's going really beyond your own scope, and it's looked at extremely well. So
Yeah.
lots of opportunity for that.
Yeah. Well, there you go. You heard it there from someone who's literally reviewing talent right now. This has been awesome. Kia, thanks so much for joining me on the Good to Great ICs.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.